I have absolutely nothing to do with politics. This video is purely for someone who is planning to study abroad and is confused whether they should go to Canada or not, or someone who has already received a Canadian visa and is now confused whether to go or not. If you're thinking that you'll find some political masala in this video or you'll go to the comment section and read, please don't. Nothing like that is going to happen. This is purely for someone who is considering Canada as a study abroad destination. If you're not, I would recommend you to watch this video, because in this video probably you'll get the masala that you're looking for. Not in this video. This is just for someone who is confused. Right now India and Canada are going through a diplomatic downturn, wherein Canada is accusing India of something. India is saying we didn't do it. Then India is saying that our people in our diplomatic staff in your country is not safe. Canada is saying same. And then India has stopped issuing visas to Canadians. So a lot of things are happening. All you need to know as an international student is that right now Canada is giving out visas to Indian students, but there is a catch. So we need to understand, whenever a country stops giving out visas or makes it difficult to attain visas of B country, then B country also has to retaliate. In this case, Canada will probably retaliate in some sort. Maybe they'll take more time in giving out visas, or maybe they will stop issuing visas as easily as they were. So at the max, there was a 30% rejection rate of Canadian visas. Probably we would start seeing numbers like 25% to 30%. Again, that is my observation of the current situation. And if you for a second thought that Canada can survive without Indian students, that's absolutely not going to happen, because Canada receives $4.9 billion from Indian students alone. Now, that is purely in terms of the fees and all the money collected, but that's not it. How did we get it this $4.9 billion number? So let's suppose this is $4.9 billion. And what I'll do is I'll simply divide the number of students who went from India to Canada last year. That's somewhere around 250,000 students. So that comes to somewhere around $19,600, which is 15 lakh rupees, which an Indian student pays in terms of the tuition fees every year, 15 lakh rupees. Provided that's just the fees. They also pay somewhere around 10 lakh rupees for living expenses every year. So if I have to give it in terms of numbers, it is somewhere around $10 billion that is provided by Indian students just in terms of living and tuition fee. Now you would think that that's actually not a lot in granular scheme, where $2 trillion is the GDP of Canada, 4.9 is now. But then Indian students also contribute in all the other economic activities. Rents going up in Canada is probably also because of Indian students, because there are so many students, such a huge influx of students. And you would think, oh, then that probably they would be considering to reduce the numbers. Absolutely not, because their entire industries are set up by Indians. The IT industry is also being run by Indians. And in terms of every other industry, they are majorly being run by Indians. So if you think that Canada can survive without Indians, that's actually not going to happen. Now, what should you do? If you've already received a Canadian visa, you've already received the admit letter, you've made the tuition fee payment, then ideally you should be going. But provided you're going to a good university. If you're not going to a good university, you're going to a lower end university, you feel like getting a job eventually would be tougher, then I would reconsider all my options. I would go to the description, I would reach out to my team and ask my team whether it is still the correct option. We would be giving you unbiased opinion whether you should be going ahead with it or not. But let's suppose you're still considering to go to Canada. What in that case? So the first thing with Canada right now is, only if you're going to a top end university in Canada, you will be getting a job. Provided you're going to UBC, you're going to HEC Montreal, you're going to University of Toronto, Waterloo, any of these universities, you would ideally be getting jobs, because their placement rates are above 90%, and average salaries range from somewhere around 100,000 Canadian dollars to 1,40,000 Canadian dollars as freshers. But if you're going to any other university, it ideally didn't make sense to go to Canada. So anyhow, in the current situation, for 70% of the students who were going to Canada, it just didn't make sense. For rest who were going to good universities, it did. And for those people who only and only wanted PR, it did make sense, because in Canada, getting PR was way much more easier. Now, even that's getting a bit trickier. Second thing is, do I mean that Canada does not have jobs? Absolutely no. And according to a survey, only 45% of international students are doing high-end jobs as soon as they graduate. And rest 55% are doing retail lower-end jobs. And that is one more reason why Canada will not stop giving out visas to Indians. Why? Because they consider us as people who would be willing to work for lower wages. As a result, they are able to keep their minimum wage stuck at in the range of $15 to $16. Otherwise, that is very low compared to a US. Otherwise, if Indian students were not there, This minimum wage would not have been possible because people would have not been ready to work for it, because right now the inflation rate in Canada sometimes starts 8 to 9% and this is not increasing accordingly. So the most important question is, what should you do if not Canada? First thing you need to ask yourself, what is the most important thing to you? Is settling there, moving to a country and just not coming back your goal? Or is coming back something that you're considering? If you're considering coming back, I would highly recommend you to check out USA. Why? Because you will have the highest salaries there, you'll have the best universities there, you'll have the best career growth there. So I would highly recommend you to check out USA, and eventually you will be able to recover your money back in USA as well. But with UK, only if you're going to some specialized degrees, then it makes sense. Only if you're going again to top universities, it makes sense. So UK depends a lot on what course and which university you're going to. USA, broadly, if you're going for a STEM course, you'll be fine. But if PR is something that you're considering, permanent residency, and Canada was the first option that you had, I would again recommend you to check out Australia, and that too specifically regional areas of Australia, because regional areas of Australia are still giving out PRs relatively very easily. When I say regional area, I mean to say the tier 2 cities, and when I say tier 2 cities, I mean Adelaide, Perth, Canberra, the capital. So these are not actual regional areas, the regional areas that you think of. These are actually huge metropolitan cities, but it's just that there are not too many people working there. So still getting a PR in those locations is comparatively easier as opposed to Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, where it is difficult. And if you're specifically looking out for PR and citizenship, then I would not recommend you Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane. I would highly recommend you to check out these tier 2 cities. But there is an issue with Australia also. Australia is expensive. When I compare Canada with Australia, ideally you will be spending at least twice on an Australian degree, because it would be ideally a master's degree, not a PG diploma like the thing that you had in Canada. So it would be expensive. Yeah, Australia is expensive. So if you're comparing Australia and thinking that, okay, Australia is not in my budget, I would highly recommend you to check out other European countries. Now, if you are ready to learn a language, then Europe is the best place that you should be going to. Best working hours, best lifestyle, and very close to India. So all of these things are checked with Europe, and eventually good citizenship options, amazing for your children, health benefits, everything is good. Now, when I say Europe, I would highly recommend you to check out Germany. Germany has absolutely free masters. We help 2 students get into best university of Germany, Technical University of Munich. I'll be posting a video with those guys also. So if you're considering Europe, I would highly recommend you to check out Germany. I mean, it has free masters. We're right now working with, I guess, around 100 students for German admissions, and we already got 2 visas. So if you're considering to go to Germany, you could go again to the description and fill the form. My team will help you with that, provided you're ready to learn the language. See, the course would be in English, but eventually you will have to know the language to work there. If you want to go to France, amazing option. Sweden, Norway, Finland. I've posted videos about all these countries one by one. All of these are amazing options, provided you're ready to learn the language. So if you are comfortable and ready to learn the language, I would recommend you to watch these 3 videos: Germany, Sweden, or else Australia. I mean, Australia is always there.